Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I'm Conrad, and this is the 45 Match Week 36. Some news that happened over the last really 8 days, I suppose. It's been a while since we've been able to record finals, work, every life just kind of getting in the way. Starting today with that goal off of the head of Alisson Becker in the 94th minute and 20 seconds or whatever it was, in Liverpool away at the relegated West Brom and Big Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, it was one of the most remarkable moments in the Premier League this season. I know people like to drum up the top four idea of it as a media-driven concept to try and sell these matches because, as we'll talk about a bit later, this is the only thing left to be decided. The relegation is decided. The title is decided with a few matches to go, and this match still has stakes for at least Liverpool. West Brom didn't have anything to play for, and they could have been considered to be robbed.
Gave him everything.
I think the VAR offside call was correct, just letter of the law. So there wasn't anything wrong there, but they gave him a tough match, and it was just the kind of case where you see the camera always puts it on the goalkeeper when he's trotting up, and you see Alisson walking up, and I mean, I certainly wasn't expecting anything. I was just kind of like, oh, well, I mean...
Last gasp. Desperation.
And you know what? I actually, in my head, I was like, this is a bad idea because they need
cut on the break.
They need a point more than they need. Losing the point and going -1 goal difference would actually be more impactful for their ability to get into the top four. But I mean, I'm obviously wrong. Alisson scored a wonder goal, and it was a tremendous header. I mean, Klopp said after the match, like,
it's unbelievable.
If Giroud scored that, is what he said, then we'd say that's a world class header. And Alisson scored that. It was unbelievable.
Well, I think, the studio analysts here were saying, yeah, that was unbelievable. The technique, the placement, the power, direction, just unbelievable. And nobody marked him.
Did you see that?
It's a complete failure by West Brom.
He said he works on headers in training. I was like, what?
Because he got nothing else to do. That was the other thing that Robbie Earle said in the postgame. He's like, goalies practice as strikers. Strikers practice as goalies. That's what happens when you're out on the pitch in Premier League. But unbelievable, and such a great story. And the interview that he gave afterwards was magnificent. I mean, it was so emotional. Such a range of his emotions after losing his father to that tragic accident back in February in Brazil, not being able to travel or any of that kind of stuff. What he has gone through, if you don't shed a tear watching that and after what happened there, you don't have a heart. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
It was great to see because he's, even if for rival fans, like, it was the kind of case where, like, okay, yeah, like that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Him to score that when he scored it,
unbelievable. FA Cup first in 140 years of the tournament. Leicester City has never won it, and they beat Arsenal 1-0. Chelsea, excuse me. Chelsea thinking that you didn't even correct me.
No.
What's worse?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You were just going to let me hang. Chelsea thinking they had gotten the equalizer late, ruled out by VAR, striking yet again. But Chelsea leaking a little bit of confidence, but this is great for Leicester City. They've got a shot, we'll talk about this later on, at staying top four, but this is an absolute huge moment for them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're only one of a handful of sides to win the Premier League, FA Cup, and Carabao, like League Cup, in one season, I'm pretty sure. One of only a few sides to do that. That trio of trophies to win in the 21st century, at least. And it's a amazing thing. If you thought back to when they finished 12th after winning the Premier League title, that they would be at this level where they are in third place heading to the end of the season, off of a fifth place season, winning a league trophy. They are really upsetting the apple cart, and they're saying maybe the big six can be changed over the next few years if we're able to continue our marketing and our commercial success. But on the field, it's hard to deny that they are one of the best teams in the entire league. And in terms of Chelsea, we'll get more on them a bit later, but very briefly, man, VAR was a real pain for them in that match. It was correct both times, but it doesn't make it hurt any less that it doesn't give a handball on the Leicester wonder goal from Tielemans, and it doesn't, and it rules you off for a shoulder being offside. It was a pretty clear offside in the day of VAR, but it hurts, man. It hurts for Chelsea fans. They have a chance to put it right, but for Leicester, it was a huge first step. But the big thing for them is, I think even in Brendan Rodgers' mind, this is a great trophy to win, a great accomplishment. But after last season, bottling top four, you need to have a good response in the second match against Chelsea and in the final match of the season against Tottenham. If you don't have a good response there and you finish fifth again, it almost could be viewed as just a we're not actually going to upset the apple cart. We're just going to be consistent. So chance to really do something special this season, so they shouldn't be celebrating too hard.
Speaking of celebrating too hard, perhaps not celebrating, the first time they tried to play Man United home at Old Trafford to Liverpool, it got ugly. You had some 300, 500 fans get out onto the pitch, get into the stadium, first and foremost, to cause this match to be canceled. Clearly still apology not accepted, Glazers out, Murica out. We talked about this last time we did this show, but this is an unhappy fan base. And they also protested in a much more calm fashion in the actual match that was played the following Thursday, where Liverpool won 4-2. But it's ugly. And I don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, are the Glazers going to actually get out? I don't think they are. They're not going to walk away from this.
You know, I think the issue that you mentioned right there is why these protests may fall flat. There is the segment of the fan base that can keep up the level of protest that got that match against Liverpool postponed. It's not large enough to keep it going. Is there a majority of the fan base that does not want the Glazers there? Yes. Is there a majority of the fan base that is going to take the time out of their day, go to Old Trafford, disrupt the team's operations, go to sponsors, say we're not happy with these owners, why are you supporting this club? I don't know. It was several weeks back at this point now, but now a couple weeks removed from that situation, it's so remarkable that the biggest match in England, Man United versus Liverpool, was going to be a title decider if Liverpool won, which they ended up winning the replay, was just postponed by the fans. That was a remarkable statement of fan power, and it's almost a scary display of it. I know that in the second match they had to have diversion tactics with buses. They had to put fake buses through, and the fans were blocking those. And it does get into a bit of a moral murky ground where there's actually slight risk for the players. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, whoa, the Glazers, but maybe that is going to force the Glazers' hand that, okay, we're putting our players, we're putting our opponents in these situations which are uncomfortable at the very least. Maybe we at least need to address some of their concerns, if not sell the club. Will that happen? I would personally be shocked, especially after seeing Stan Kroenke and the Kroenke family turning down a bid very recently from the owner of Spotify. So they know that this is an incredibly valuable asset that they have. And I just think that a realistic expectation for Manchester United fans would be almost reparations and them trying to win you back over. It would never happen, but just trying to make good on some of the bad things that have happened in recent years.
Maybe they should start small and just fix the roof so that when it rains, the water doesn't come in.
That would be a good start, honestly. And that is one of the
small
that is one of the biggest issues with that I fully agree with Man United fans is they have not invested as much as they could have in transfer spending on the field of success. And the facilities, I mean, Old Trafford, we've never been,
Right.
but I mean, it's compared to other places like Tottenham and Arsenal building new stadiums, Liverpool expanding the new away end. All these clubs are building these for their future, improving the literal infrastructure of their club. Man United aren't doing that. So it may be a case of a nice, I don't know, £200 million stadium improvement, maybe not expansion, but just making the place look a bit nicer, putting a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, I was going to say just paint it. I mean, from a capacity perspective, obviously it's one of the larger, and I think it's the largest in the Premier League.
It is, yeah.
The Glazers are not going to walk away from this thing, but they've got to figure out a way to get more fan involvement, either at the board level or, just some supporter representation in decision making, or at least an audience with them.
I mean, it would help.
The very least.
Tone deaf is how you would describe all the American owners in the Premier League right now. It would be a great idea.
Fair. Next up, some knowns and unknowns. I think actually that's an actual size Sam Allardyce and actual size Pep Guardiola. Big Sam Relegated for the first time in his career. Pep Guardiola leading City to their third title in 4 years, a remarkable run. So we know what's happening at the top of the table. Fulham, West Brom, most recently relegated. Have all 3 relegations been determined with at least 3 matches to go. I think it's the first time that's ever happened. And then you've got the 14 spots in between that are still up for grabs.
Yeah.
Most notably those European spots.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I mentioned earlier, it helps for the likes of Sky, for NBC, that these matches still have some importance. Or else you're looking at what? That's 20 fixtures that just don't really have much importance in the next few days. But they do, because there is more money to be made by finishing higher up the table, and obviously qualifications for European
Champions
spots.
League money is big
Huge.
money.
I mean, we saw clubs try and break away from the Champions League, the Premier League even, and because of the money. And they're now been shamed into returning to the land of the plebeians in the Premier League and Champions League. But it's important. And I think the Liverpool chase down of Chelsea and Leicester is going to be the most interesting storyline, especially that's the backdrop of the Alisson goal, where those 2 points, it's not in their hands mathematically, but it gives them such a better chance. 538 actually has them as the best placed team to finish in the top 4, which is remarkable. They have a 73% chance to make it compared to mid-60s for Leicester and Chelsea, because they know that, I mean, one of those sides has to drop points. So Liverpool, if they win out, they are guaranteed to gain ground on at least one of those sides, and they both have tough final matches at the end of the season. So one last thing I'll say is Sam Allardyce and West Brom nearly took points off Liverpool again with a 1-1 draw. And that's just, I don't think it's unique to the Premier League. I don't want to claim that, but it is a league where, I mean, Sheffield United beat Everton today. Sheffield United, I mean, they were
1-0, yeah.
They didn't need the result, but they're playing for their pride. There's no fans to watch, but the fans are watching at home. So there are still going to be good quality matches, and there is a bit left to play for. And I said last thing, but I should give my credit to Man City. 3 titles in 4 years is remarkable. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's not,
And a shot at the Premier League. Champions
I
League.
mean, you can always say, I spent a lot of money. It's not so simple as you spend money, you win. I mean, look.
You got to get them to play.
Look where Frank Lampard is right now. They spent £200+ million in the summer on some great additions, some borderline world-class players, and it didn't work out. Pep Guardiola is one of the greatest managers of all time. If he wins a Champions League, it just makes that argument a bit better for him. I think he's probably the greatest manager in the world right now. Maybe him and Klopp are my top 2. And if he wins the Champions League, it just vindicates him that much. So I'm very excited for that match. But that's going to kind of segue into the next segment.
Pep Guardiola's got really long thumbs.
He does, yeah. I don't know if you were editing really those, long. But the proportion of his thumb to I don't know, his hand is remarkably weird. It's
it's weird.
It's like a 1-to-1 ratio.
So back to Chelsea. So Chelsea, what Tuchel has done with them has been unbelievable, right? Defensively solid. He's trying to get something else out of Havertz and Werner, those big money transfers. There's not been a lot of production there. The 1-0 loss to Leicester in the FA Cup, as we mentioned. Though previously they lost 1-0. I'm blanking on who, but they didn't have the Arsenal. That's right, in the league. But they're coming off of a win over City, so they feel good, bad, right? And now they've got. If they win this, if Leicester win this, they're guaranteed Europe. If Chelsea win, they've got a pretty good shot. But I don't know if they've got it in them. Leicester are playing so well right now, and Chelsea are just leaking confidence left, right.
It's really tough to gauge where this match is going to go, because there could be the leaking confidence aspect of it, or it could be the I'm pissed off and I don't want us to miss out on the top 4, especially against these guys who just beat us in such controversial fashion just a few days ago. They were celebrating a trophy. They were able to have this great moment. We weren't able to have that. We're going to get the last laugh. And it would be probably a greater laugh, honestly. I mean, reports coming out that Abramovich prefers top 4 over the League Cup, and you know what? The FA Cup, I don't disagree. From a emotionless financial aspect, It's better to be in the Champions League, and it's peanuts compared to what you win for winning the for FA Cup. So, but the thing, or at least I say hot seat, is we've gone in such a crazy 180 that the Arsenal match on Wednesday to the Liverpool win on against Man United, the defeat in the FA Cup, and Liverpool's win against West Brom means that there is a very realistic chance in the final three matches of the season, Chelsea go from having top four nearly locked up and 2 trophies to play for, no trophies, and miss out on the Champions League. I'm not saying he should be sacked, but he wasn't given an incredibly long deal for a reason. Chelsea are pretty trigger happy. He's done a great job turning the club around and getting them in this position, but I mean, it would be a remarkable bottle job, simply put, if they were not able to at least get in the top 4, if not try and lift the Champions League title. So I mean, it's a case of, your fallback is you finish 5th, then you can win the Champions League and get in anyways. But it's 3 finals left. We were talking about it before. 2 finals for the top 4, and then the Champions League final, obviously. And I think the last thing I'll say is Tuchel almost suffers from the Pep Guardiola syndrome, where he overthinks it in the big matches, and he tries to do too many different things. He's like, all right, guys, we're going to change up how we're doing it for this opponent, for this occasion. And it doesn't work sometimes. The egg, I don't know, it gets splattered in his face.
Well, Tuchel, look, Kai Havertz, 3 goals in 19 matches. Timo Werner, 3 goals, 21 matches. Not a lot of production. Defensively solid, fantastic. Mason Mount, he's complaining. Tuchel's saying he needs rest because he's played 61 matches for club and country, and he's been fantastic, arguably the player of the season for Chelsea. Christian Pulisic, he's done wonders with him. He's really turning. He's producing, not starting all the time as an American. He should start every match. But he's done a remarkable job. If you think about when he took over and you said, come the end of the season, you've got a shot at 2 titles, one of which is the Champions League, and you could finish in the top 3. You'd have said, no way is that happening the way that team was playing. And what he has done is unbelievable. So, yeah, Roman Abramovich has never been afraid of recency bias to make bad decisions and fire people. There is no way Tuchel is going to get let go. He's got to solve that offensive, the scoring problem. I can't see it.
You say no way, but this is Roman Abramovich we're talking about. This is a man.
I can't see it happening.
It would be crazy.
I didn't think Lampard was going to get fired, but they just played so terribly.
And you know what?
No choice.
You almost could look at that as justification for firing Tuchel, because you looked at how underperforming they were under Lampard. They just were not succeeding, and it almost may be a case of what's more replaceable, your assets, like your players, or the manager. And if he can't get the best out of Werner, out of Havertz, out of Pulisic, out of these assets, I'm not saying he hasn't, but if he can't, it's much
not out of Werner and Havertz.
Yeah.
They've been better, but they're still the return for what they paid for them. Not at all.
They have the benefit of being pretty young, so they're not under serious pressure for being moved on. But it's a really interesting debate that if it was any other club besides Chelsea, like Arsenal are in 9th. Like they could realistically finish 10th in the league, and Arteta is being backed supposedly, according to Fabrizio Romano. Like I'm not saying they have low standards, but it's remarkable that they are allowing Arteta to like live on, while Tuchel.
Cronkies are just letting Arteta swing, so nobody's yelling at them.
You know, that's a good point.
let Arteta take all the bullets.
That's a very good point. They're just kind of like, all right, yeah, he's gonna be our fall man because we don't want to deal with
that.
He's
a meat shield. He's a meat shield for the Cronkies. All right, that'll do it for us. Jack, Conrad, this has been the Footy 5, our look back at, I guess it was more than a week. I forget when
it's like 2 weeks.
United.
Like, it's literally 2 weeks ago today.
That's okay. I'm bad at time.
Nah.
Please subscribe, like, comment, let us know what you think. Look for us on the Twitter at the Footy 5. Take care now.